Hi, welcome to this 30-minute yoga practice. I'm Andrea, and I'm so glad you're here. To build something that's going to stand the test of time, it has to have a thoughtful foundation, and that's what we're going to build today in our well-rounded yoga practice. We're going to test our foundation with some balance poses. So you'll notice that I have my chair with me. I highly recommend having a chair for this practice. You can use the wall as well, but we're going to use the seat of the chair for one of the poses that we do today in a way that I think is going to be valuable. I have a yoga mat. If you don't have one, a carpeted floor is fine. A bolster or something like a cushion from your couch would be really helpful for today's practice too. I realize there are quite a few things, but we're gonna have fun with them. So I think you'll be glad to have them. If you have blocks or too thick books, that's good. Never a bad idea to have a folded blanket or a towel. Once you're ready, we'll start in our bedrock foundational pose, mountain pose, Tadasana. Feet hip distance, turn your palms away from each other, add a little soft bend to your knees, and feel the foundation of your feet. You can emphasize that by just gently rocking forward and back, side to side. There's 4 points on our feet, the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, and the 2 points at the heel that are of note. They're where our balance is found. As you travel up, let your hips be over your heels so we're not tucking the pelvis or arching our back. Smile your collarbones open, shoulders over hips, over heels, and then lean your head back just a bit. So it's ears over shoulders, over heels. And from our solid, deep roots into the ground, the crown of your head is extending to the sky. Fill this majestic mountain with your breath and let that happen in and out through your nose. Slow your breathing down. Let life slow down a bit as we lay the foundation for our practice today. 2 moments to stop here so that we can start. We'll add a little warm-up. Bend your knees, arms out to the side, a V shape. Shift the emphasis of the weight into those 2 points at the heels. Let your low belly lift. Imagine that you're still standing in your mountain from the waist up. And then stand and turn the palms away from each other. Again, like that. Bend the knees, sit back and down, weight into the heels, and then stand into your mountain. 1 more time like that. Inhale as you sit into your chair. Exhale, stand into your mountain. Adding on a bit. Bend your knees, arms out to the side, V shape. This time as we stand up, bring your right knee towards your chest and we have to balance on the left leg. Return your right foot to the ground, bend your knees for your chair, inhale here. And then exhale, stand and draw your left knee into your chest. Back and forth we go, inhaling to our chair. Exhaling, finding some balance, a little less real estate on the ground. Inhale into chair. Exhale, left knee to the chest. 1 more round like that. Bend your knees, inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, a little fun with balance, knee to the chest. And then 1 more time, chair pose. Exhale, knee to the chest. And then stand into your mountain. From our mountain, we're now going to grow a tree. This is where a hand on your chair or a hand on the wall is probably a really good idea. I'm going to turn my chair so that I can get the higher edge and not the seat of it. And then standing in our mountain with a little soft bend in our knees and an awareness to our foundation with both feet on the ground. Take your right leg out in front of you. Remember, I've got one hand on my chair, or you've got it on the wall. And then from the hip joint, turn that leg out. And then a little kickstand, hugging your left hip in, keeping your hand on your chair, or perhaps you take your foot into the calf of your left foot. So tree pose with the right leg. You can either have your right hand on your hip or turn thumb to the sky, V shape overhead, one hand on your chair or on the wall. And you can even play a little bit, really finding the foundation of that left foot into the ground, taking your hand for any length of time off of your chair or off of the wall. You want to keep hugging that outer left hip in, eventually maybe both arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky. If that's not today, don't worry. A couple more moments, really feeling the wobbliness and sturdiness of the foundation. There's going to be wobbles as it gets stronger, but your awareness is the real strength. Bring your left hand onto your chair or the wall again. Turn your right knee forward and then step hip distance, returning to our mountain. We'll switch sides. I'm going to actually move my chair, and maybe you'll do the same. There'll be a little bit of chair movement actually in our practice today. And then reestablish your mountain once you've moved your chair. Either hand on the hip or arm out to the side, whatever comfortable for you with your left hand. Extend the left leg out in front of you from the hip joint. Turn that leg out, and then just make sure we haven't collapsed this part of our foundation. So outer right hip is hugging in now. Begin to bend your knee and either a kickstand with your left heel onto the inseam of your right ankle, or perhaps it works up towards the calf muscle here. So our tree in our left leg, the trunk of the tree, all the way into the foundation of our deep roots on the right side. If comfortable, left arm out to the side, thumb to the sky, and a V shape. We're still standing in the majesty of our mountain. We've just grown a tree from that majesty. And then you can play a little bit, being very attentive to your foundation, maybe taking that right hand for little spells, little fits and starts. You'll start to feel that it's a dance, and that if you're paying close attention, you can almost read the tea leaves of that dance of balance. So at some point, maybe both arms, thumb to the sky. That's where things get wobbly for me. I definitely have to focus on my foundation. And the other foundation that we're focusing on is our breath. Think of the exhales as keeping your deep roots in the ground, and the inhales as growing your branches. Now bring your left hand to your hip, turn your left knee forward, and then stand back into your mountain. Great. Moving the chair carefully off to the side. We'll step wide on our mat now. How wide? Arms distance wide. Turn your palms to the sky, and then just see if you can have ankles underneath wrists here. Turn your right leg out from deep in the hip socket, so the right foot faces the short edge of your mat, and then cheat your left heel back. Warrior two, bend the front knee. You'd like to have a vertical line from your knee to your ankle. So it means your knee is not forward of the ankle. Straighten your arms overhead, thumbs to the sky, and straighten that front leg. And then once again, bend the front knee, arms wide. Straighten, arms overhead. One more time, almost like on your marks, get set, go with our warrior pose. Straighten arms and front leg, and then settle in for a moment to our warrior two. Now, in the foundation of this pose, you want to feel the heel of your right foot solid. Not that the rest of your foot isn't on the ground, but that's the emphasis. In the back leg, the outer edge of your back foot is solid in your mat, and the arch is lifted and alive. Add the foundation of complete inhales and exhales. Try to let that be through your nose. If it's too long with your arms, you can always bring your hands to your hips, much like we did in our tree pose. And tree pose is a bit of a foundation in terms of its shape for our warrior two. Think of your right hip hugging underneath you like the tree shape that you made with your leg just moments ago. 2 more moments here. You're doing great. Hands to hips. Firm through your feet and your belly, straighten the front leg. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat, and then turn your left leg out so that your left foot is facing the front edge of your mat. Cheat your back heel at a 45-degree angle, arms out to the side, palms to the sky. Bend the front knee. Just make sure that you're still in that vertical knee over ankle stance. Straighten the arms and the front leg. Bend the front knee, arms wide. Straighten arms high. Bend the front knee, arms wide. Straighten, arms to the sky. And then bend the front knee and pause here, palms to the sky. And we'll build it from the ground up. The heel of your left foot is the emphasis. The outer edge of your back foot is the emphasis. And the back arch is lifted and alive, and you feel that all the way up the inseam of your back leg. The other foundation is our breath, slowly in and out through the nose. And the foundation of our tree pose lives on in our left hip. You're drawing that left hip, hugging it underneath you, almost like it wants to make its way to that very lifted back arch and that very solid outer edge of your back foot. Take a few moments here in a meditation and notice that there's little teeny tiny subtle movements in your posture, even as we hold it still. Two more mindful moments, and mindfulness is truly the foundation of our practice. Hands to hips. So slowly with a firm belly, lift, straighten the front leg. Turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Now, you may want to heel toe your feet together. I'm going to show you this so that you can take your chair with you or take a block with you or your tall book for our triangle pose. I'm going to show you with the block, but you can move your chair and use your hand on the base of your chair. Let's find our wide stance once again, palms to the sky, ankles underneath wrists. Turn your right leg out. Cheat your left heel back so that's the 45-degree angle. And then with a soft bend in your knees, this is a pseudo straight-legged pose, but I don't want it to be locked out. So a little emphasis into the right big toe mound. That's our foundation in this pose. Palms to the sky, hinge at the hip. So what we're not doing is a rounding in this pose. We're hinging at the hip. I want to make sure that you can see that in me clearly. And then hand to the tall block, or for most of us, the seat of the chair. If it's crowding shoulders into your ears or painful in any way to have the arm to the sky, you can just bring it alongside your body or even back of the hand to the small of your back. And some people prefer to look down in this pose so that it doesn't bother their neck. The beauty of yoga is that you do you. You take personal agency and make sure that the postures are feeling great to you, not just today, but tomorrow also. Now feel into your feet one last time while we're here. Big toe mound of the right foot, pinky toe mound, but making sure that that big toe mound doesn't come up off the ground. Outer edge of the back foot, solid, and the arch is lifted and alive. Spin the inner upper arms away from each other. So again, just check to make sure we're not scrunching shoulders into ears, and then the foundation of breath and mindfulness. Now add a little bit more bend to that front knee, firm through your feet and your belly, hands on your hips, come all the way upright, turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. If you need to heel toe your legs together and have a break, or maybe heel toe your feet together and move your chair so that it's there for the second side, this is the perfect time to do that. I'm going to move my block. So maybe you have your big book or your block. I'll put it just outside of my left heel now. Turn your left leg out. So once you have your props in place, turn that left leg to face the short edge of your mat. Cheat your back heel at a 45-degree angle. It's a hinge at the hip. We know we're not trying to do a side flexion action. Thumbs to the sky, palms to the sky. Little soft bend in the front knee. Lengthen out, hinge at the hip, left hand on your block. Right arm up to the sky. And if it wants to come alongside your body, or back of the hand to the small of the back while we're here, if that feels better to you, then by all means. Now you're shining in all different directions, which means that we want to have a very solid, ground up foundation. Now it's the left big toe mound that we're pressing into. Outer edge of the back foot solid into your mat, and the arch is lifted and alive. Stay with your breath. If it feels better to look down, feel free to look down and take care of your neck. Every inhale, you can grow a bit longer out the crown of your head. And every exhale, a little teeny turn of the bottom ribs towards the sky. A few moments to meditate in this new shape and feel the foundation of your breath and the foundation of mindfulness. Hang in there, just 2 more moments. And then take your right hand onto your hip, firm through your feet and your belly. Add a little bend to that left knee, just to be cautious. Hands to hips, come all the way upright, and then turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. And heel toe your feet together. Once again, we're going to be maneuvering our props a little bit. I'm going to move my chair because I want to make sure that you can see me. So I'm not actually going to be on my mat. You'll be on your mat. You're going to turn the chair so that you've got access to the seat of it. Just make sure there's nothing else around you for you to trip on. That was really for me more than you. Now, imagine that you're doing your triangle here. Now, you can be on your mat. I'm stepping off my mat so that you can see me clearly. Just a moment ago, we added a teeny bit of bend and we hinged at the hip. You'll do that again. Place your right hand on the base of your chair and your left hand onto your hip. Imagine doing a triangle pose, but with your left leg off the ground. Half moon is the name of this pose. Your foot is facing straight forward. You're reenacting your triangle with a little bit of balance, and it's less foundation. So slide your hand down the base of the chair. Start to lift that left leg. If it wobbles, have a good laugh. Come up, try it again. If you want to, you can take your left arm up to the sky. Now, sometimes when there's a balancing pose, you feel like you just want to hold your breath. Don't hold your breath, just hold the pose. The foundation of breath is essential. 2 more moments here. And then left hand on your hip. Step it back, bending your right knee. Once you feel solid, come upright, turn all toes to face forward and step into your mountain. Second side, I have to maneuver things so that you can still see me. You probably can just turn and face the chair with your left leg forward. Now we first assume the position that looks a little bit like the triangle that we did. Slight bend in your left knee, left hand on the base of your chair, right hand on your hip. Remember, we're not rounding in the spine. It's a hip hinge. Bend your left knee a little bit, and then start to slide your hand down the base of the chair and think about creating a triangle pose in midair. One side might be a little easier to balance. Just interesting to know about ourselves. If you want to take the right arm up to the sky, thumb to the sky, you can do that. It's always a little helpful to look down. So if the balance is wobbly, looking down at the base of your chair might be helpful. And then remember, we're holding the pose, but we're not holding our breath. Last 2 moments here. Now to dismount, right hand on the hip, bend your left knee, use the base of your chair to get the right foot on the ground, hands on your hips, turn all toes to face forward, heel toe until your feet are hip distance. I'll move my props out of the way. You can do the same, especially because I want you to be able to see what I'm up to a little bit later. So hip distance, stand into your mountain. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Hinge at the hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward, get some length, let it feel so nice. Now, as you exhale and fold, you can use the base of your chair to come to the ground. I moved mine so you can see me, or just bring your hands to your mat. We'll come seated. And then once we're seated, that's where we're going to bring in the cushion from your couch, or I've got my bolster here, and then set that off to your side. So you can watch me as I set this up. If it's helpful, I'm hoping that my instructions will make it clear too. Come seated and then lie down. We create our tree pose now, lying down. So bend your right knee, have the bolster underneath your right thigh, and it could be that lying down, you walk that foot up a little bit higher, more tight towards the inner left thigh. Lie your head down once you've taken a gander to see what it looks like. Turn your palms to the sky. And then just let gravity do the work, except that you want to pretend that you're standing on the ground with your left foot and curl those toes back towards your face. So imagine that there's floor beneath your left foot and you're placing your left foot on the floor there. Lying on the ground is wonderful for our posture. You can feel your shoulder blades against the ground. Just a gentle little side to side so that the shoulder blades are on your back. Take a couple quiet moments here. You can feel the foundation of breath and mindfulness, and the foundation of our tree pose and so many poses that we did today in your right hip, and even in the information in your left foot. It remembers the ground even when it's not there. Now you're just going to do the best that you can with this next part, and you might need to move your bolster around a little bit. Think of our triangle pose and imagine that you're doing that here on the ground. So just straighten that right leg off to the side, but make sure that you have it seated on your cushion so you don't feel like you're having to hold it up on your own, and you'll get a stretch in the inseam of your right leg. Remember, you're pretending to be standing on the ground with your left foot. Pretend that you're standing on the ground with your right foot too, and curl those toes back towards you a bit. And then use the ground to feel your shoulders into the earth as opposed to into your ears. Last few moments here. Now begin to bend that right knee once again. Plant your right foot into the ground and let your right knee go to the sky. Bend your left knee and place that foot on the ground. We're going to have to do a little prop moving, so you can come up to seated and move your prop to the second side. Just make sure that none of your other stuff is in your way. Again, more for me than for you, perhaps, that. Feet hip distance, lie down. Straighten the right leg, and then bend your left knee and scoot so that you're on your prop with your thigh bone, and create the tree pose in your left leg. Shimmy your shoulder blades underneath. Pretend you're standing on the ground with your right foot. Curl those toes back towards you. And then some of the challenge of this is the foundation, the Mindfulness Foundation. Now our foundation on the ground is our whole back body. Stay with it for a few moments. Sometimes when I'm silent, the foundation of mindfulness is almost the most challenging of all, isn't it? Allow yourself to simply be instead of feeling that you have to be doing something right now. Now imagine that you've decided to do your triangle here lying on the ground, and straighten your left leg. Make sure that it's on the bolster, plenty of support. Curl both sets of toes back so it really looks like the bottoms of your feet are standing on the ground in the triangle that we did in our practice earlier. And then while you're here, feeling a little stretch in the inner thighs, a little stretch in your hips, we're noticing a stretch in our attention, our ability to be a little bit more, to do a little bit less. Now carefully begin to bend your left knee. Stamp your left foot into the ground. Stamp your right foot into the ground. Walk your feet as wide as your mat. Gently lift your hips straight up just an inch. Make some space. Lower your hips to your mat. You can stay like this in constructive rest for our final Shavasana meditation. If your low back is happy with it, you can extend one leg and then the other and let the feet flop open. A little insider's secret I love to do is to put my bolster across my thighs in Shavasana. So if you want to put your cushion across your thighs, just make sure it's fine with your low back. Snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you for the foundation of the whole back body into the earth. Maybe close or cover your eyes, and then let yourself let go. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready to start to make your way back, just remember it's possible that you have something across your thighs that you want to move off to the side. Bend your knees into your chest if they're not there already. Roll carefully to either side and then into any comfortable seat. Rest your palms up or down in your lap. I hope you feel a solid and relaxed foundation to walk out into the world. I'm Andrea, and I look forward to us practicing together again soon.